Do you think everything we've been taught about electricity history is wrong, and an ancient object proves it might be incomplete? Buried beneath centuries of sand, archaeologists uncovered something they almost dismissed as ordinary pottery. At first glance, the small clay vessel seemed completely unremarkable, just another artifact from ancient Mesopotamia. But one detail stopped researchers immediately. The mouth of the jar had been sealed with a strange black material. This combination immediately raised questions, because such materials are rarely placed together without a very specific technical purpose. The story begins in 1936, near the ancient village of Kujut Rabu, just outside Baghdad during routine excavations. Workers expected broken pottery fragments. Instead, they uncovered an object that would later confuse historians and engineers. The clay jar was only a few inches tall, yet its internal structure looked carefully engineered rather than decorative. Everything was sealed tightly using asphalt, a material not commonly used for simple ancient storage containers. When researchers finally opened the vessel, they discovered something no ordinary storage jar should have contained. Years after its discovery, the strange artifact reached the attention of German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig, and something about it immediately caught his eye. As Koenig examined the opened vessel more carefully, he noticed details that simply didn't resemble ordinary storage containers. Inside was a copper cylinder, with an iron rod running directly through its center in perfect alignment. Yet despite extensive records from ancient Mesopotamia, no surviving text explained why such a device had existed. But this object appeared fully formed, with no earlier versions found anywhere in archaeological history. Ancient civilizations documented everything, from trade to medicine. Yet nothing explains this strange vessel. Could this humble clay jar have generated electricity, centuries before modern batteries were ever invented? That silence makes the artifact even more mysterious, because important technologies usually leave written traces behind. Many historians rejected the idea immediately, but others couldn't ignore the strange arrangement hidden inside. Decades passed, yet the unanswered questions surrounding the artifact continued to challenge historians and engineers alike. Finally, in 1950, curiosity overcame skepticism, and researchers decided there was only one way to settle the debate. Scientists decided to test it by recreating the exact same structure in controlled environments. They used clay jars, copper tubes, iron rods, and filled them with acidic liquids like vinegar. The results surprised researchers, because the replica generated measurable electrical voltage almost immediately after activation. This voltage ranged between 0.5 and 2 volts, small but scientifically significant in electrochemistry. The principle behind it is simple. Two different metals reacting inside an electrolyte solution produce electricity. This is the same principle used in modern batteries, discovered officially by Alessandro Volta in 1800. In later experiments, engineer Willard Gray recreated the device, confirming similar electrical output under testing. Multiple replications produced consistent results, strengthening the argument that the object could function electrically. But this raised a difficult question. Why would ancient people build something that produces electricity if they did not understand electricity? Then the design appears too precise to be purely accidental. Not everyone agrees with the battery interpretation. Many archaeologists offer alternative explanations for the object. Some suggest it stored sacred scrolls or important documents protected from moisture and environmental damage. Others argue copper and iron components were structural supports, not functional electrical elements at all. However, this theory faces problems, because sealing an archive with asphalt makes access extremely difficult. A permanent seal would require breaking the jar, making it impractical for document storage systems. This contradiction keeps the debate alive, with no single explanation accepted universally by researchers. Supporters of electrical theory propose electroplating, a process using electricity to coat metals with gold. If multiple jars were connected together, they could theoretically generate enough current for such applications. Ancient jewelry from the region shows extremely thin gold layers, unusually uniform in certain archaeological finds. Most experts attribute this to mercury gilding, a known ancient technique involving gold and mercury. But some researchers argue mercury methods do not explain every artifact, especially those with microscopic consistency. This creates an open scientific debate, with no conclusive evidence supporting one interpretation completely. The real mystery deepens further, because no written explanation of this technology has ever been discovered. Ancient Mesopotamia recorded everything important, including laws, trade, and daily life activities. Yet no text describes electrical devices or anything resembling the Baghdad Battery structure. This absence is unusual because advanced tools typically leave behind written instructions or references. It raises a major contradiction. Physical evidence exists, but documentary evidence does not. And that contradiction is what makes this artifact one of archaeology's most debated discoveries. But the Baghdad Battery is not the only mystery from ancient history. Other discoveries raise similar questions. In 1901, sponge divers found a shipwreck near Greece, containing a corroded object made of bronze. For years it was ignored, until X-ray technology revealed something extraordinary hidden inside. Inside were complex interlocking gears, arranged in a precise mechanical system. This device could predict astronomical positions, including movements of planets and eclipses. It is now called the Antikythera Mechanism, considered the world's first known analog computer. Its complexity shocked researchers, because nothing similar existed for more than 1,000 years afterward. This discovery changed assumptions about ancient engineering capabilities completely. Now returning to the Baghdad Battery, researchers began viewing it differently. Not as an isolated mystery, but part of a much larger pattern. A pattern where advanced knowledge appears briefly, then disappears from historical record entirely. This raises a new perspective. Maybe ancient technology was more advanced than previously believed, or maybe certain techniques were lost over time, due to war, collapse, or cultural disruption. When archaeologists study artifacts, they usually begin by asking where the object fits within known historical categories. Engineers approach the same mystery differently, asking what function the object actually performs under real conditions. From that perspective, the Baghdad Battery becomes much harder for researchers to dismiss completely. Copper, iron, and acidic electrolytes naturally interact in ways that produce measurable electrical output. Whether the arrangement was intentional or accidental, the underlying electrochemical reaction remains scientifically valid. Yet many important questions remain unanswered, especially concerning how such a device might have been used. If electricity was truly produced, what practical purpose could it possibly have served in ancient society? No lamps, motors, or electrical devices have ever been discovered connected to such systems anywhere in archaeology. That absence creates another mystery, suggesting the technology may have had limited or unknown applications. And because so many questions remain unresolved, researchers and historians continue debating the mystery even today. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, combining partial understanding with generations of practical experimentation and observation. Ancient craftsmen may have noticed strange reactions occurring naturally, even without understanding the scientific principles behind them, much like early humans mastered fire. Long before understanding chemistry, combustion, or the physical processes involved. That possibility makes the artifact even more intriguing, because it may represent an early form of experimental science. But one final question remains. If this was genuine technology, then where did that knowledge disappear? No continuous tradition of electrical devices appears in ancient records, only isolated discoveries that stand alone. This points toward two possibilities. Either knowledge was lost over time, or evidence remains misunderstood. Either explanation keeps the mystery alive, preventing definitive conclusions from being confidently drawn even today. As a result, the Baghdad Battery remains unresolved, neither fully accepted nor completely rejected by science. It endures as a physical artifact, still testable, still mysterious, and still debated in modern laboratories. And that is what makes it unique. Unlike myths, it can be reconstructed, tested, and verified through controlled scientific experiments. Yet even after decades of research, no single explanation has fully satisfied all experts or resolved the debate completely. This uncertainty is why global interest continues. Across historians, engineers, archaeologists, and independent researchers studying the artifact worldwide. Because every new experiment adds valuable data, but still fails to fully resolve or close the mystery surrounding it. The artifact continues resisting classification, remaining in active scientific debate even after nearly a century of investigation. Which keeps the question alive. Was it a battery, a storage jar, or something still completely misunderstood today? And perhaps that is the real value of this discovery. Not definitive answers, but deeper questions it forces us to ask. Questions about how much knowledge ancient civilizations truly possessed, and how much of it may have been permanently lost. Because every new discovery changes perspective and reshapes what we think we understand about human history and progress. And maybe the greatest mystery is not the object itself, but how many others like it are still waiting undiscovered. The Baghdad Battery is just one forgotten file buried deep inside an ancient archive the modern world never knew existed and has barely begun to open. You just watched one mystery rise to the surface, but thousands more are still buried beneath the earth waiting for someone willing to look deeper and ask harder questions.